Wrong hold, wrong courtroom, wrong woman.
"Give up, black girl," the officer commanded. "You possess no capacity to contend with me." Officer Travis Cole's forearm tightened its grip, pressing further into Maya Williams' throat as he forcefully pulled her backward across the steps of the courthouse, situated in the heart of downtown Atlanta. "You colored intellectuals, having perused a few legal texts, suddenly deem yourselves superior to law enforcement officers," Travis sneered, his voice laced with contempt. "Remember your designated station." Maya weakly scraped her fingernails against his arm, struggling to draw breath. "I am not engaging you in a physical confrontation," she wheezed. "I merely requested to see my son. I am entitled to converse with him." "The absolute hell you are," Travis retorted sharply. "And you should have been attending to your own affairs instead of posturing as a champion for these individuals." The elderly black woman standing nearby began to openly weep. "Officer, I implore you. She has committed no transgression." "Silence!" Travis barked, not even deigning to look at her. "Your kind never knows when to cease." The pressure encircling Maya's throat intensified once more. Her lungs instantly began to burn. The crowd shifted uneasily, yet no one stepped forward to intervene. Maya's vision started to blur at the periphery. "Please," she whispered hoarsely, "I was only asking you to treat her equitably." Travis emitted a cruel laugh. "Equitably?" He shoved her with greater force. "Life is hardly equitable, sweetheart, particularly not for boisterous black girls brandishing cell phones in officers' faces." He then tightened his arm with savage intensity around Maya's neck and yanked her backward. Her equilibrium vanished instantaneously. One of her knees collided forcefully with the cold stone of the courthouse, producing a sickening crunch and sending a searing pain up her leg. A cry escaped her lips before she could suppress it. Travis violently kicked Maya's phone across the concrete expanse. The device cartwheeled towards the crowd and slammed against the base of a marble pillar. "Now nobody is documenting this," he growled menacingly. Maya let out a choked gasp as the constriction around her throat tightened again. Her fingers trembled desperately against Travis's arm, while a wave of panic surged through her chest. "Please," she pleaded in agony, "kindly release me, I cannot breathe." Travis leaned in closer, his voice a low, venomous whisper near her ear. "Perhaps on another occasion you will learn to keep that impertinent black mouth of yours shut." Tears stung Maya's eyes from the lack of oxygen. "I was not attempting to show you disrespect." "Too late for that. Please." Her voice cracked weakly. "You are causing me pain." The older woman suddenly cried out louder. "She states she cannot breathe." A man from somewhere behind the throng shouted nervously, "Yo, officer, chill out!" But Travis merely squeezed with greater force. Maya's body now convulsed violently. Agony exploded through her neck and knee as the courthouse steps blurred beneath her. Still, no one moved to pull Travis away, for Travis wore a badge, and Maya was merely another terrified black woman pinned beneath the weight of authority. The older woman, clad in her grocery store uniform, took a single, shaky step forward. "Please, release her." Travis pointed at her without loosening his chokehold. "If you advance another step, you are next." Fear visibly swept across the woman's countenance. Maya's lungs screamed for air. Then Travis shifted his weight and reached for the handcuffs clipped to his belt. "You are finished," he hissed. "Assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, interfering with police duties. I shall ensure they levy all of these charges against you." Maya's eyes widened. "I did not assault you," she rasped. "You will have," Travis stated coldly, "by the time I complete the report." He forced her left arm downward, attempting to twist it behind her back, while his other arm remained locked across her throat. The movement choked off the meager amount of air she had left. Her knees buckled. The cold stone bit through her trousers. Somewhere in the crowd, someone shouted, "He's cuffing her!" Maya understood then. If he succeeded in fastening the handcuffs on her while she was semi-conscious, the narrative would conclude before it even properly commenced. The report would assert she attacked him. The video would commence too late. The badge would speak first. Her voice would come last, if it emerged at all. "No," she whispered. Travis tightened his grip. "What did you say?" Maya ceased her aimless tugging at his arm. Her body trembled, but her mind narrowed to the sole elements that mattered: his wrist, his balance, his hips, the handcuffs. As Travis leaned down to grasp her wrist, Maya moved. Her right hand clamped onto the arm across her throat. She tucked her chin firmly. Her shoulder rotated just enough to create a sliver of space around her airway. She slid her trapped knee inward, planted her foot, and dropped her weight instead of straining upward. Travis grunted. "Stop moving." Maya pivoted sharply beneath him. The handcuffs slipped from his fingers and clattered against the stone. Before he could recover, she trapped his wrist with both hands, stepped across his stance, and utilized his forward momentum against him. It was not a chaotic struggle. It was not fueled by anger. It was Brazilian jiu-jitsu in its purest manifestation. Leverage against brute force, breath against desperation, survival against power. Travis's eyes widened with astonishment. What the? His body pitched over Maya's hip and slammed onto the courthouse steps. A heavy crack echoed across the entrance. The crowd gasped in unison. Maya followed, controlling his arm before he could reach for his weapon or the cuffs. She pinned his wrist against the stone and exerted just enough pressure over his shoulder to prevent him from rising. Travis cursed from beneath her. "Get off me!" Maya released him instantly and stumbled backward, her hands held openly visible. Her breath came in ragged, painful gasps. "I am not attacking you," she declared loudly, her voice raw from the chokehold. "I was defending myself. He was choking me. He was attempting to handcuff me after fabricating events." For a moment, an unnerving silence prevailed. Travis pushed himself up slowly, breathing heavily, his face a dark red hue of humiliation. The expression in his eyes instilled more fear in Maya than the chokehold itself. "You insane bitch," he hissed. Maya swallowed with difficulty. "You assaulted me. You resisted arrest. You never informed me I was under arrest until you attempted to handcuff me. I do not require a legal lecture from you." Several deputies finally advanced closer, although none inquired about Maya's well-being. One deputy lightly grasped Travis's shoulder. "Cole, she attacked an officer," Travis snapped immediately. "We have the entire incident recorded." Maya stared at him in disbelief. "He choked me," she rasped towards the deputies. Everyone present witnessed it. But as Travis smirked, Maya felt the bruise swelling around her throat, the very same curved mark she had once encountered within a sealed file pertaining to a deceased individual named Darnell Price. The smile remained fixed on Travis Cole's face, even as two deputies positioned themselves between him and Maya Williams. It was not the smile of a man embarrassed in public. It was the smile of a man who understood the workings of the courthouse behind him, knew which hallway camera might falter, knew which report would be deemed credible before a black woman's bruised throat ever entered the room. Maya stood on the steps, one hand pressed against her neck, the other clutching a ruined textbook on constitutional law. Her knee throbbed intensely from its impact with the stone. Her breath scraped painfully through her throat. "Miss, step back," one deputy commanded. Maya stared at him. "He assaulted me. Step back." "You witnessed him." The deputy's gaze flickered towards Travis, then away. "Ma'am, lower your voice." It was then that Maya comprehended the swiftness with which the world could turn against an individual. A minute prior, she had been a law student endeavoring to assist a distressed mother. Now she was being treated as the perpetrator of a crime. The older black woman in the grocery store uniform was still crying. "Baby, I saw it. I observed his actions." Travis pointed at her. "She is interfering as well." The woman fell silent. Maya turned sharply. "No, leave her out of this." A deputy moved closer. "Ms. Williams, you need to come inside and provide a statement." Maya swallowed through the pain. "Am I being detained?" Travis chuckled. "Listen to her, still attempting to play the lawyer." Maya looked directly at the deputy. "Am I being detained?" For a moment, no one responded. The crowd had grown larger but quieter. Individuals who had been filming everything now lowered their phones as courthouse security began scanning faces. Fear rippled through the witnesses like a chilling draft. "Not at this time," the deputy finally stated. Maya bent down carefully and retrieved her phone near the marble pillar. The screen was fractured but still functional. Notifications flashed across it. One video had already been uploaded online. It commenced with Travis falling to the ground, not with him choking her, not with him kicking her phone, and not with Maya pleading for air. It depicted only the conclusion. The caption read, Law student attacks officer outside Fulton Courthouse. Maya felt a chill spread throughout her entire body. Travis watched her see it. His smile returned. "Have a pleasant day, counselor," he remarked. She yearned to scream at him, but her throat barely functioned. Instead, she gathered her books from the courthouse steps. Some pages were stained with spilled coffee. Others were torn where shoes had stepped over them. The older woman attempted to assist, but Maya gently shook her head. "Go home," Maya whispered. "Please." "But you helped me." "Then allow me to help you one more time. Go before they involve you in this." The woman touched Maya's arm once, her expression filled with gratitude and apprehension, then disappeared into the throng. Maya departed without providing a statement. Every step inflicted pain. Behind her, Travis was already conversing with the deputies in the easy cadence of a man surrounded by protection. Ahead of her, downtown Atlanta continued its existence. Cars honked, a bus hissed at the curb. Someone outside a cafe laughed as if nothing had occurred. The two old veterans had ceased their chess game. Mr. Jenkins stood beside his table, hat in hand, gazing at Maya's throat. "Do you require someone to accompany you, child?" he inquired. Maya attempted to decline, but her voice failed her. She nodded once. He walked beside her slowly, his cane tapping against the sidewalk. He did not question what she had done wrong. He offered no platitudinous advice. Men of his age had witnessed sufficient history to comprehend that silence could sometimes be a form of mercy. At the MARTA station, people stared. Some recognized her from the video already. Maya watched it unfold, her eyes fixed on a phone, then on her face, then a small distance away. Mr. Jenkins noticed. His jaw tightened. "Folks certainly relish a narrative they don't need to comprehend," he muttered. "They only witness the conclusion," Maya whispered. "That is typically the segment they favor." Before she boarded a train, he leaned closer. "Take photographs of that bruise today, before it changes." Maya looked at him. "And do not place trust in anyone who tells you it is not as severe as it appears." By the time Maya reached her apartment, the video had disseminated across local platforms. The comments flooded in rapidly. "Violent activist! She should be expelled!" Maya turned the phone face down. Her apartment was small and quiet, the kind of dwelling sustained by thrift store furnishings, lingering ambition, and bills piled beneath a mug emblazoned with "Future Attorney." She locked the door twice. Only in the bathroom mirror did she truly perceive the extent of Travis's actions. A dark crescent had begun to form beneath her jaw. Finger-shaped imprints were pressed near the side of her neck. A red line curved where his forearm had constricted her airway. Maya leaned closer, and her breath caught. Not from fear, but from recognition. Her phone rang. Her mother's name appeared on the screen. Maya answered softly. "Hi, Mama." Denise Williams wasted no time. "Tell me you are safe. I am home. I saw the video. They are claiming you assaulted a police officer." "I did not." "I am aware of that," her mother stated, her voice both breaking and hardening simultaneously. "But knowing and proving are not the same thing." Maya gripped the sink. "He choked me, Mama." A heavy silence enveloped the line. "Take pictures," Denise instructed. "Right now." Maya complied. Front angle, side angle, close-up, all time-stamped. Her hands trembled throughout the process. After the call concluded, she opened her laptop and accessed the Civil Rights Clinic archive. Her fingers hovered over the search bar before she typed the name that had resurfaced from the depths of her memory. Darnell Price. The file opened slowly. Blackmail. 36 years old, warehouse supervisor, father of one. Arrested outside a gas station after being misidentified as another suspect. Deceased prior to booking. Official summary. Subject resisted arrest and experienced medical distress during lawful restraint. Maya opened the autopsy notes. Her eyes scanned line by line until they found it. Contusions along the left lateral neck. Crescent-shaped bruising beneath the mandible. Compression consistent with forearm restraint. The apartment seemed to fall silent. Maya touched her own throat. The mark was on the same side, curved in the identical shape, bearing the same type of pressure. She clicked further. Body camera unavailable due to equipment malfunction. Traffic camera footage not retained. Witness statements inconsistent. Officer Travis Cole present at scene. Maya's skin turned cold. Travis had not lost control today. He had replicated something. If you feel Maya never deserved what happened to her, take a moment to like this video and tell me in the comments where you are watching from tonight, because someone near you might be listening to this story with you right now. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss what Maya discovers next about Officer Travis Cole and the man who never made it home. Outside her window, red and blue lights flashed across the blinds. A patrol cruiser sat beneath the street lamp, engine running, no siren, no movement. Maya looked back at Darnell Price's name on the screen, then at her bruised reflection in the dark window, and she finally understood. Travis Cole had done this before, and the system had already taught him how to survive it. The patrol cruiser remained beneath the street lamp for nearly 40 minutes. Maya observed it from behind the blinds, careful not to move them excessively. Her apartment was dark except for the blue glow of her laptop and the faint red pulse of police lights washing across the wall every few seconds. The cruiser did not park as if responding to a call. It waited, like a warning. Her phone buzzed again. Naomi Carter's name filled the screen. Maya answered before the second ring. "Naomi, tell me you're not alone." Maya glanced toward the window. "I'm home." "That is not what I asked." Maya remained silent. Naomi exhaled sharply. "I saw the video, the edited one. Then I found 2 longer clips before they were buried under all the noise. Maya, he had you by the throat. He's outside my building." The silence on the other end changed instantly. "Who is?" "A patrol car. No siren, no call. Just sitting there." "Lock your door." "I did." "Lock it again." "I did that too." Naomi's voice lowered. "Listen to me. Do not go outside. Do not answer the door unless it's me, your mother, or someone you called. I'm coming over." "No," Maya said quickly. "If they're watching me, they'll watch you too." "Good. Let them see my good side." Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. Naomi had always sounded fearless, even when she was terrified. She was 26, sharp-eyed, always carrying a recorder, a notebook, and enough suspicion to navigate any courthouse hallway in America. They had met during Maya's first semester of law school at a community forum on wrongful convictions. Naomi had posed the question every politician on stage attempted to evade, and Maya had liked her immediately. "There's more," Maya said. "What?" Maya turned back to the laptop. Darnell Price's file remained open, his name resting on the screen like a tombstone. Travis Cole was connected to an old death case, a black man named Darnell Price. Same neck injuries, same language in the report, resisted arrest, missing camera footage. Naomi fell silent again. But this time, it was not fear. It was focus. "Send me everything." "Naomi, send it." Maya looked out the window. The cruiser had still not moved. "If this is what I suspect it is, they buried a man. Then we start digging." Within an hour, Naomi was at Maya's door, pepper spray in one hand and a paper bag in the other. Maya opened the door just wide enough to pull her inside. "You look awful," Naomi commented. "Thank you. I brought soup. That makes it better. And ginger tea because your voice sounds like you swallowed broken glass." Maya accepted the bag with trembling fingers. "The patrol car left 10 minutes ago. That doesn't mean they're gone." Naomi placed her laptop on the kitchen table and began working before removing her jacket. Maya sat opposite her, cradling the mug of tea with both hands. The warmth was comforting, but every swallow caused pain. Naomi watched her closely. "You need a doctor. I need proof. You need both." Maya did not reply. Naomi opened the first video. It showed the courthouse steps from a poor angle. The clip began late, just before Travis struck the stone. Then another clip from a different account displayed Maya standing back with her hands up, but the beginning remained absent. "They're pushing one narrative aggressively," Naomi stated. "Local platforms, police sympathizers, anonymous accounts, the same caption, the same wording. That indicates coordination." Maya leaned closer. "From whom?" Either someone within Cole's circle or someone who desires the public to render a verdict before facts emerge. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. A local station had published the story. Law student under review after violent encounter with officer. Maya clicked it, despite knowing she shouldn't. The anchor's voice emanated from the phone, polished and grave. A disturbing confrontation outside the Fulton County Courthouse has raised questions tonight about rising anti-police sentiment among young activists. Naomi snatched the phone and muted it. "Don't feed yourself poison." Maya's eyes burned. "They didn't even contact me." "They don't require your input for the narrative they intend to propagate." By morning, the story had gained considerable momentum. Maya awoke after barely sleeping to 13 missed calls, 47 unread messages, and an email from the dean's office requesting her presence for an urgent conduct review. Her internship supervisor had also written. Carefully, formally, with language that conveyed sympathy while simultaneously distancing the institution. "Pending clarification of yesterday's incident, we believe it is best that you pause all clinic-facing activities." Maya read the sentence 3 times. Pause. That was how institutions penalized individuals without admitting to punishment. They paused your work, reviewed your scholarship, reconsidered your suitability, and waited for exhaustion to make you grateful for silence. Naomi sat on the couch with her laptop open, hair tied back, eyes red from working through the night. "I discovered 3 complaints against Travis Cole in the last 6 years." Maya looked up. "Only 3? Only 3 that weren't completely sealed. Excessive force, racial slurs, unlawful detention. All dismissed. Who approved them?" Naomi turned the laptop toward her. "Sergeant Dean Harper." Maya stared at the name. The same supervisor from Darnell's file. Every time Cole encountered trouble, Harper made it vanish. Before Maya could respond, a knock sounded at the door. Both women froze. The knock came again, more forcefully. "Maya Williams?" a male voice called out. "Atlanta Police Department," Naomi whispered. "Do not open it." Maya stepped toward the door but kept the chain locked. "What do you want?" A folded paper slid under the door. "You've been served notice to appear for questioning regarding assault on a law enforcement officer," the voice stated. "Failure to cooperate may affect charging decisions." Maya looked down at the paper as if it were a venomous snake. Naomi moved beside her. "Name and badge number?" Silence. Then footsteps retreated down the hall. Naomi picked up the notice with a napkin. "No badge number on the paper. Cute." Maya's hands clenched into fists. "They're building the case already. They were constructing it before you even arrived home." That afternoon, Maya's mother insisted they attend church. "You need elders around you," Denise said over the phone. "You need people who remember what this country is capable of when it believes no one is observing." Maya wished to decline, but by 5 o'clock, she found herself seated in the back pew of New Hope Baptist, a scarf carefully wrapped around her bruised neck. The church exuded the scent of lemon polish, aged hymnals, and baked chicken from the fellowship hall downstairs. Elderly women offered her comfort, not with pity, but with the gentle affection typically reserved for a cherished child returning home laden with burdens. Reverend Ellis offered a prayer, her words not explicitly mentioning Maya, yet the unspoken acknowledgement resonated with everyone present. Following the service, a venerable Vietnam veteran, Mr. Albright, paused beside Maya. He supported himself with a wooden walking stick, his suit, though dated, exuding an air of dignified care. "I witnessed the online dissemination," he remarked. Maya lowered her gaze. "Indeed, sir. I also observed what they omitted." She met his gaze. His face bore the imprints of time, weariness etched into its lines, yet his expression was resolute. "Truth doesn't perish readily, child, though they certainly endeavor to bury it profoundly." A sense of release stirred within Maya's chest, and for a fleeting, perilous instant, tears welled. Then Naomi's phone vibrated. A glance at the screen, and her demeanor shifted, hardening. "What is it?" Maya inquired. Naomi angled the device towards her. A fresh image had just surfaced online, depicting Maya exiting the church, a scarf encircling her throat, her mother's hand resting on her back. The accompanying text declared, "Law student, hostile to law enforcement, weaponizing race following an altercation with an officer." Maya's attention fixed on the photograph. Her mother was visible, as were 3 elderly congregants positioned behind her. Naomi's voice dropped to a whisper. "They've been tracking us." Maya's gaze swept across the gathering space, observing the older individuals partaking in pound cake from disposable plates, their hushed laughter a gentle counterpoint to the world's intent to instill fear in her. Her own phone then buzzed with an incoming message from an unrecognized number. The communication began without preamble. "Cease your inquiries into Darnell Price, or your mother will similarly become a subject of this narrative." Initially, Maya withheld the message from her mother. Clutching her phone discreetly against her palm, she stood within the fellowship hall of New Hope Baptist, where women in their finest Sunday attire extended offers of pound cake, fried chicken, and a quiet solace born of profound lived experience. Across the room, Denise Williams was assisting with folding chairs alongside Sister Bernice, her polite laughter mingling with the words of a deacon. The sound of her mother's unburdened mirth made the underlying threat feel all the more menacing. Naomi, reading over Maya's shoulder, froze. "Cease your inquiries into Darnell Price, or your mother will similarly become a subject of this narrative." For several moments, silence reigned between them. The church choir, rehearsing in the sanctuary, sent the familiar strains of "Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine," a childhood hymn, resonating through the aged structure. The melody, which should have brought comfort, instead amplified Maya's sense of vulnerability. Naomi's voice, hushed, proposed, "We must contact someone." "Whom?" Maya whispered. "The authorities?" Naomi's jaw clenched. Maya reread the message. "They are aware of Darnell's involvement. This indicates we are nearing the truth. It means they are monitoring my mother." Naomi's expression softened. "Maya, no." Maya shook her head resolutely. "I can withstand their attention directed at me. I can manage my academic pursuits, the media scrutiny, the falsehoods. But if they involve her..." Denise, across the hall, looked up as if sensing her daughter's apprehension. Her smile faltered. "Maya?" she called out. Maya quickly concealed the phone in her pocket and approached her mother. "I'm all right, Mama." Denise scrutinized her daughter's face. Mothers possessed an inherent acuity for discerning truth, and Denise, having raised her daughter independently for an extended period, could detect a fabrication by its very rhythm. "What transpired?" "Nothing." Denise's gaze shifted to Naomi, then back to Maya. "Do not deceive me within the Lord's house." Maya swallowed, a painful sensation still lingering in her throat. "Someone sent a message." Denise extended her hand. "Permit me to see." "Mama, let me see it." Maya relinquished the phone. Denise read the message once. Her expression did not crumble. Instead, it solidified. It was the same resolute look Maya had witnessed when their landlord attempted to increase the rent after her father's passing, when hospital bills followed Grandma's stroke, and whenever circumstances presented an insurmountable obstacle. "They issued a threat because of that deceased individual's case?" Denise inquired. Maya nodded. "Then that deceased individual holds significance. Mama, I do not wish for you to be in peril. For 53 years, I have navigated existence as a black woman in Georgia," Denise stated quietly. "Peril and I are well acquainted." Naomi averted her gaze, granting them a moment of privacy. Denise gently touched Maya's bruised neck with 2 fingers. Her composure wavered only in that subtle gesture. "You mentioned his name was Darnell?" "Darnell Price." "Then we shall seek out his family." Maya blinked. "What?" "If they are attempting to deter you from him, it signifies his mother possesses knowledge they wish to suppress." By midday on the following day, Maya and Naomi occupied Naomi's aging Honda, parked on a quiet street in Atlanta's west side, shaded by pecan trees and verandas where wind chimes swayed languidly in the oppressive heat. A faded Stars and Stripes fluttered from one railing. A child's bicycle lay on its side near a fractured driveway. The residence before them boasted meticulously trimmed hedges, spotless windows, and a small angel figurine gracing the steps. "This is her," Naomi confirmed, verifying the address. "Lorraine Price." Maya's grip tightened on the folder resting on her lap. Within it were printed documents from Darnell's case file, autopsy findings, summaries from witnesses, and the recurring name of Travis Cole, an indelible mark that seemed impossible to erase. "What if she is unwilling to converse?" Maya asked. "Then we depart." "What if our questions cause her further pain?" Naomi regarded her. "They have already inflicted pain by ensuring no one asked sufficient questions." Maya absorbed this thought before opening the car door. Lorraine Price responded on the second knock. She was a woman of diminutive stature, in her early 60s, with hair threaded with silver pulled into a neat bun, and reading spectacles suspended from a cord around her neck. She wore a lavender cardigan despite the prevailing warmth of the afternoon. Her eyes initially met Naomi's, then Maya's, finally settling on the scarf around Maya's throat. A subtle shift registered on her face, not of curiosity, but of recognition. "You are the young woman from the video," Lorraine stated. "Yes, ma'am," Maya replied softly. "My name is Maya Williams. I apologize for the intrusion." Lorraine did not step aside. "Reporters inundated me following my son's demise. They photographed my porch and termed it investigative journalism." "I am not seeking a story," Maya assured her. "I am here because Officer Travis Cole applied pressure to my neck yesterday, and upon observing my injuries, I recalled your son's case file." Lorraine's hand tightened on the door frame. Naomi interjected gently, "Mrs. Price, we can depart if you prefer." Lorraine's gaze returned to Maya's scarf. "Remove it." Maya hesitated, then slowly unwound it. The bruise had deepened overnight, a blend of purple and green beneath her jaw, forming a crescent shape that appeared almost deliberately sculpted. Lorraine covered her mouth. For a prolonged moment, silence enveloped them. Then, she widened the doorway. "Please, come in." The living room was impeccably tidy, adorned with mementos. Family portraits graced the mantel, with Darnell prominently featured in nearly every one. Smiling in a Falcons jersey, lifting a young girl onto his shoulders, standing beside his mother at a church gathering, or sporting a work shirt with his name embroidered above the pocket. On an adjacent table rested a framed photograph, encircled by a black ribbon. Lorraine noted Maya's gaze. "That was the final picture we took, 2 Sundays before they killed him." Maya sat gingerly on the edge of the sofa. Naomi remained quietly beside her. "They claimed he resisted," Lorraine began, her voice carefully modulated, the contained grief beneath it more potent. "They asserted he was under the influence. They described him as aggressive. They uttered numerous assertions about my son after he was no longer present to refute them." Maya opened the folder. The autopsy report detailed contusions beneath his jaw and along the side of his neck. Lorraine rose and walked to a cabinet. Her hands trembled as she retrieved an envelope, aged and worn from repeated handling. She extracted a photograph, holding it to her chest momentarily before presenting it to Maya. Maya looked down, a chill descending upon her. The marks on Darnell Price's neck bore an uncanny resemblance to her own. The same crescent form beneath the jaw, the same pressure applied near the airway, the same brutal imprint left by an individual who precisely knew where to apply force. Lorraine's voice faltered. "They informed me my son fought back, but Darnell was handcuffed." Naomi looked up sharply. "Are you certain?" "I observed his wrists before the funeral home concealed them. They were bruised entirely around." Lorraine gestured toward the photograph. "He could not have resisted them as they described. My son worked 12-hour shifts loading trucks. He returned home exhausted. He took his daughter to school each morning. He contacted me nightly at 8:30, regardless of whether he had anything significant to convey." Her lips quivered. "That night, he did not call." Maya's gaze drifted to the photographs on the mantel, to Darnell's young daughter, her smile conveying an innocence that precluded understanding the world's capacity for loss. "I am profoundly sorry," Maya whispered. Lorraine sat opposite her. "Regret does not exhume the departed, child." Maya lifted her eyes. Lorraine leaned forward, her grief now sharpened into resolve. "You departed breathing. My son did not. Therefore, articulate your purpose for being here." Maya's throat tightened, but this time not from physical pain. "I need to ascertain who assisted in concealing the truth." Lorraine regarded her for a long moment. Then, reaching beneath the coffee table, she produced a shoebox filled with correspondence, rejected complaints, old telephone records, and names scribbled on legal pads. "I have been awaiting 3 years," she stated, "for someone to pose that precise question." Maya did not immediately touch the shoebox. It rested on Lorraine Price's coffee table like a living entity, containing the accumulation of years a mother had dedicated to ensuring her son would not be forgotten. The corners of the yellow legal pads were creased. Envelopes, opened and resealed countless times, had edges that had become soft. Names were underlined in blue ink. Dates were circled. Phone numbers were crossed out. A mother's sorrow had transformed into an archive. Naomi leaned forward. "Mrs. Price, did any representatives from the police department ever acknowledge these complaints?" Lorraine emitted a small, bitter chuckle. "They responded with dismissals. Case closed. Insufficient evidence. Officer conduct deemed within policy." Every polite euphemism they employ when they wish a departed soul to remain forgotten. Maya lifted a letter. The paper trembled slightly in her hand. It was addressed to Sergeant Dean Harper. The same name from the reports, the same signature that had consistently shielded Travis Cole from every complaint. "You communicated directly with Harper?" Maya inquired. "On 6 occasions," Lorraine replied. "The first time I held faith he might be receptive. The second I surmised he might be occupied. By the 6th I understood he constituted the impediment." Naomi was already capturing images of the documents with her phone. "Did any other individuals witness Darnell's apprehension?" Lorraine gestured toward the shoebox. 3 individuals provided statements before succumbing to fear: a cashier at a gas station, a rideshare driver, and an individual who resided behind the laundromat. 2 altered their accounts. 1 vanished from the provided address. "Vanished?" Maya asked. "Gone before the civil rights advocates could locate him. The police deemed him unreliable in any event." Maya's gaze returned to the autopsy photograph. She then compelled herself to turn it over. She could feel the bruise on her own neck pulsing beneath her scarf, as if Darnell's injuries had transcended time to find her. Lorraine observed her intently. "That mark causes pain?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good," Lorraine stated, not unkindly but with firm resolve. "Remember it. Pain dissipates more rapidly than individuals anticipate. That is why they delay. They wait until the swelling subsides, until the images appear less alarming, until people begin to suggest that perhaps the event was not as severe as you asserted." Maya swallowed. "I documented it with photographs. Take more tomorrow." Naomi looked up. "Mrs. Price, would you be willing to provide a formal statement?" Lorraine's fingers tightened on the edge of her cardigan. For a moment she appeared not as a witness, but as a mother standing at the precipice of the same profound loss for a second time. "I spoke previously," she said. "They labeled me emotional. They accused me of seeking a scapegoat." Maya's voice softened. "You were seeking the truth." Lorraine met her gaze, and something in her eyes steadied. "Truth comes at a cost, child. Are you certain you can afford it?" Before Maya could respond, Naomi's phone buzzed. She glanced down, her expression transforming. "What is it?" Maya asked. Naomi turned the screen towards them. A new local news segment was playing silently, a bold headline beneath Travis Cole's official departmental photograph. "Officer injured during courthouse assault by law student." Maya's stomach churned. Naomi increased the volume. A reporter stood outside police headquarters, speaking with practiced gravitas. "Sources within the department indicate that Officer Travis Cole sustained injuries while attempting to apprehend 24-year-old Maya Williams, a law student. Witnesses describe her as agitated and confrontational." "Witnesses?" Lorraine interjected sharply. "Which witnesses?" The screen shifted to Sergeant Dean Harper, in uniform, his demeanor grave and composed. Officer Cole exhibited restraint under challenging circumstances. "We are reviewing all available footage. However, we will not permit misinformation to jeopardize the safety of officers performing their duties." Naomi paused the video. "He is framing this before we can even respond." Maya stared at Harper's face. He resembled someone reciting from a well-worn script. Lorraine pointed at the screen. "That is him. That is the individual who informed me my son was responsible for his own demise." The room fell silent. Then, a floorboard creaked near the front porch. Naomi froze. Maya turned towards the window, peering through the lace curtains. She observed the shadow of someone standing near the steps, not knocking, not moving, simply present. Lorraine rose slowly. I do not typically receive visitors who stand in that manner. Naomi reached for her pepper spray. Maya stood, ignoring the sharp protest from her knee. A voice, low and urgent, emanated from the other side of the door. Mrs. Price? My name is Marcus Reed. I am employed by the courthouse security. I need to speak with Maya Williams. Naomi whispered. Do you know him? Maya shook her head. Marcus spoke again. Please, I have limited time, and I did not come here to cause harm. Lorraine moved to the door but did not unlatch it. Then convey your purpose through the wood. A pause ensued. I witnessed Cole's actions yesterday, Marcus stated. Not the edited segment, but the complete recording. Maya's breath hitched. Naomi lifted her phone and began recording. Marcus continued. Courthouse camera 3 captured him encircling her neck. Camera 5 recorded him kicking the phone away. By noon today, both files were marked as corrupted. Maya stepped closer to the door. How do you know? Because I was instructed to delete the backup. The words landed with considerable weight. Lorraine reached for the deadbolt. Naomi shook her head, but Lorraine proceeded to open the door, keeping the chain secured. Marcus Reed stood on the porch, clad in a nondescript gray jacket over his security uniform. He was a broad-shouldered black man in his early 40s, adorned with a Marine Corps pin on his lapel, his eyes possessing a vigilance that scanned his surroundings before entering any space. He observed Maya's bruised neck and winced. That was not restraint, he stated. That was retribution. Maya's voice emerged rough. Why are you here? Marcus glanced toward the street. Because Cole has a history of this, and because Harper is aware of it. Lorraine stepped back as if struck. Marcus slowly reached inside his jacket and withdrew a small flash drive. I retained a copy, camera 3, camera 5, and an internal hallway recording from post-incident. Naomi's eyes narrowed. What hallway recording? Marcus looked at Maya. Harper speaking with Cole. He told him not to worry, said, You survived one neck case already. You'll survive this one too. The living room seemed to contract around them. Maya could hear her own pulse pounding. Lorraine gripped the doorframe, her face pale but resolute. Repeat that statement. Marcus lowered his eyes. Ma'am, I apologize. Do not apologize, Lorraine said, her voice trembling. Be of service. Marcus nodded once. That is precisely why I am here. Naomi accepted the flash drive with meticulous fingers. Are they aware you duplicated this? Not yet, but they will ascertain it. Maya looked at him. You could jeopardize your position. Marcus offered a weary smile. I have sacrificed sleep for more significant reasons. Outside, a car slowly cruised past Lorraine's residence, then turned the corner without stopping. Everyone in the room remained motionless until the engine sound faded. Marcus looked toward the window. They are acting swiftly. Harper submitted an internal conduct packet concerning you this morning. By tomorrow, they will pivot the narrative to your character, your activism, your temper, anything other than his arm around your throat. Maya touched the scarf at her neck. Lorraine walked to the mantel and picked up Darnell's photograph. They inflicted that upon my son. I am aware, Marcus said quietly. Lorraine turned back to Maya. Then do not permit them to do the same to you. Maya's gaze fell upon the flash drive in Naomi's hand, then on Darnell's photograph, and finally on Marcus Reed, standing amidst the sorrow of a deceased woman and the peril of a living one. For the first time since standing on the courthouse steps, fear did not dissipate, but rather receded just enough to allow anger to assert itself. What is our next course of action? Maya asked. Naomi clenched her fist around the drive. We will produce duplicates. Marcus nodded grimly. And subsequently, you must brace for intensified efforts. Lorraine placed Darnell's photograph on the table beside Maya's damaged law book. Two pieces of evidence, originating from two distinct lives, one extinguished, one still drawing breath. And somewhere between them, the identical perpetrator had left his indelible mark. Naomi commenced the duplication of the flash drive on Lorraine Price's dining room table, illuminated by the warm glow of an old chandelier humming softly overhead. She created a second copy on Maya's laptop, a third on her own external drive, and a fourth within an encrypted file that she transmitted to a contact whose identity she refused to disclose verbally. Marcus Reed remained positioned near the window throughout the process, his gaze fixed on the street through the curtain, never touching it. "A single copy offers no protection," Marcus stated. "Only those they cannot locate can provide security." Lorraine sat at the head of the table, Darnell's photograph resting beside her folded hands. She had not shed tears since Marcus's arrival, a fact that unnerved Maya more than weeping would have. Lorraine resembled a woman who had experienced such profound grief that sorrow had transmuted into unwavering discipline. Naomi initiated playback of the courthouse footage. For the initial viewing, Maya observed the entirety of the event from an aerial perspective. There she was, appearing smaller than she had felt within the immediacy of the moment. Travis grasping her wrist. Travis dislodging the phone with a kick. Travis encircling her throat with his arm. Maya's pleas, her mouth forming the words even without accompanying audio. Then, the instant he reached for the restraints, followed by her escape, executed with precision and control. Not an act of aggression, but a resolute refusal to be extinguished. Maya looked away before the video concluded. Naomi paused it. "You must view the entire sequence. I have lived through all of it, and they are counting on that being sufficient to deter you." Naomi's tone softened. "Maya, this video is your witness now. You must understand its narrative." Maya forced herself to look again. Naomi then opened the hallway recording. The image was indistinct, captured from above a courthouse corridor. Travis stood near a vending machine, rubbing his shoulder. Sergeant Dean Harper faced him, arms crossed, his demeanor as placid as a Sunday drive. The audio crackled, but the words were discernibly clear. "You allowed too many cameras to capture the event," Harper remarked. Travis uttered something inaudible. Harper moved closer. "Calm yourself. You navigated one neck-related incident successfully. You will manage this one as well. Simply adhere to the official report." Lorraine closed her eyes. Silence prevailed for several seconds. Then, Lorraine whispered, "They are referring to my son." A sensation akin to intense heat rose behind Maya's eyes, as if encountering ancient documentation. "Mrs. Price." Lorraine opened her eyes. "Do not offer solace. Utilize it." By late afternoon, the cost of utilizing it began to manifest. Naomi's vehicle had been vandalized, deep gouges marring the paintwork from the driver's door to the fuel tank. A crude inscription was carved into the finish. Marcus had received 3 urgent calls from his supervisor, plus a text message that declared, "We must address the unauthorized access to files." Concurrently, Maya's law school issued a formal summons for an emergency meeting concerning her conduct. Her scholarship review, typically an annual, straightforward affair, was now an immediate priority. Denise, Maya's mother, had attempted to reach her twice, her voice betraying a strained composure. "A police cruiser has driven past the house on 3 separate occasions," she reported, her tone wavering. Slowly, Maya instinctively closed her eyes. "I'm on my way over." "Absolutely not. You need to remain in a visible location. Mother, please don't use me as your reason to give up." This plea effectively silenced Maya. Denise's voice softened. "Darling, I'm frightened. I won't pretend otherwise, but my greatest fear is what happens if individuals like him discover that mothers can be coerced into silence." Following their conversation, Maya found herself seated on Lorraine's porch steps, her head buried in her hands. Despite the balmy Georgia evening air, an internal chill permeated her being. Naomi emerged from the house and sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "You're considering withdrawing," Naomi observed. "I'm contemplating whether I'm about to jeopardize everyone's future." "No, they initiated this when they subdued you and concealed Darnell's fate." Maya gazed out at the tranquil street. "My mother never anticipated this. Marcus never asked for this. You never sought this. Someone—" Naomi let out a weary chuckle. "I pursued journalism because I find the prospect of being underpaid and threatened by cowards appealing. Don't take that away from me." Maya almost managed a smile, but it faltered before it could form. "My throat still aches," she confessed. "Each time I swallow, I recall his grip, The most agonizing part is his certainty that he would fabricate the report, as if the truth held no consequence. Naomi's voice lowered in intensity. Then, ensure that the truth does matter. That evening, Maya sought refuge in a place where her body instinctively knew how to find its rhythm. Ferreira Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was situated in a modest strip mall, nestled between a barbershop and a tax preparation service, whose windows boasted fast refunds in bold red lettering. The training hall carried the distinct aroma of floor mats, cleaning agents, and stale coffee. Faded photographs adorned the walls, documenting tournaments, belt advancements, and proud children alongside their visibly tired parents. A few older gentlemen occupied chairs near the reception desk, engaged in quiet conversation over paper cups of coffee, discussing knee surgeries, grandchildren, and the regrettable decline in adequate stretching practices. Luis Ferreira was in the process of sanitizing the mats when Maya entered. He was a man in his late 60s, with a compact, broad-shouldered physique, silver hair, and hands calloused from decades of grappling. The instant he noticed the scarf around Maya's neck, his movements ceased. "Who?" he inquired. "A police officer." Luis set his cleaning towel down deliberately. "Show me." Maya unwound the scarf. The older men by the desk fell silent. Luis stepped closer, his expression composed, yet his eyes conveyed a profound shift. He did not touch the visible contusion without explicit permission. Maya offered a single affirmative nod. He carefully examined the marks, then gently withdrew his hand. This was not an act of self-defense, Marcus had stated. Marcus was correct. Luis regarded Maya intently. This was a man inflicting punishment for your lack of fear. Maya's composure fractured. "I was terrified." "Of course you were. Bravery without apprehension is merely recklessness." She exhaled a ragged breath. "They are alleging I assaulted him." Luis nodded, as if he had anticipated this response. "Those determined to find you guilty will not await evidence." "I'm unsure if I can proceed." He walked to a nearby bench and retrieved a roll of athletic tape. "Sit." Maya complied. Luis meticulously wrapped her abrasions with a tenderness akin to restoring something revered. "Jiu-jitsu doesn't train you to inflict harm," he explained. "It equips you to endure individuals who believe they possess dominion over your life." Maya looked down at her hands. "Survival is insufficient for Darnell Price." "No," Luis conceded. "But survival afforded you a voice that was denied to him." Her phone vibrated. A voicemail from Lorraine. Maya activated the speakerphone. Lorraine's voice, low and steady, filled the quiet gym. "Maya, I understand your exhaustion. I recognize their attempts to frame fear as prudence. But my son did not survive long enough to articulate his truth. You did. Do not allow them to persuade you that mere existence equates to freedom." Maya closed her eyes. Around her, the gym remained hushed. Even the gentlemen at the desk bowed their heads in solemn reflection. When Maya reopened her eyes, a subtle but significant internal shift had occurred. It wasn't peace, nor was it absolute certainty, but something more resilient. Luis finished taping her hand. "What will you do?" Maya rose slowly, her injured knee throbbing, her throat burning, her fear still present but no longer dictating her actions. "I will attend the hearing," she declared, "and I will bring the departed with me." Maya departed Ferreira Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Lorraine's words resonating profoundly within her. "I will attend the hearing, and I will bring the departed with me." At the moment she uttered them, it had felt like an act of bravery. By morning, however, that bravery felt more like an unavoidable obligation, a debt she was compelled to settle. The initial setback materialized swiftly. The key witness vanished. Naomi called at precisely 7:14 a.m., her voice already laced with alarm. "The gas station attendant from Darnell's case is gone." Maya sat upright on her sofa, having apparently fallen asleep fully clothed with the lights still illuminated. "Gone how?" "I visited the address Lorraine provided. The apartment is vacant. A neighbor mentioned he packed up overnight after 2 individuals inquired about him. Were they police?" She was reluctant to confirm, her gaze fixated on the parking lot as if anticipating surveillance. Maya pressed her fingers against the fading outline of the bruise on her neck. The diminished pain, paradoxically, amplified her unease. Lorraine's foresight proved accurate. As physical discomfort waned, public attention often followed suit, leaving scant evidence. "Did he leave a contact number?" Maya inquired. "No, but Mrs. Price had an old professional contact. I'm going to pursue that next." "Naomi, exercise caution." Naomi emitted a mirthless laugh. "We relinquished caution 3 threats ago." The call concluded, leaving Maya gazing at the formal notice of conduct on her kitchen table. The hearing was scheduled for 2 days hence, to be held at the law school's administrative building. The document's language was deliberately sterile and detached, referring to alleged misconduct and reputational concerns pending a police inquiry. It conspicuously omitted any mention of the arm around her throat or the fate of Darnell Price. Institutions possessed an uncanny ability to sanitize violence, rendering it as innocuous as a weather report. By mid-morning, her phone buzzed incessantly. A radio commentator had labeled her the courthouse assailant. A city council aide had amplified an edited video, captioning it with a call for respect for law enforcement. Anonymous social media accounts unearthed decade-old photographs from Maya's undergraduate debate club, framing them as irrefutable proof of her long-standing anti-police sentiment. One post even featured an image of her apartment building. Naomi sent a single message: "Do not respond to any public statements yet." Maya typed back, "They posted my address." Naomi replied, "I'm aware. Marcus is en route." 20 minutes later, Marcus Reed knocked softly, identifying himself through the door before Maya opened it. He wore a simple black jacket and carried 2 coffees in a paper carrier. His face appeared more careworn than it had at Lorraine's residence. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "Not much." "Good. It means you're alert. Poor sleep indicates potential errors." He handed her a coffee. Maya stepped aside to allow him entry. "Are you always this reassuring?" "Only when individuals are attempting to ruin someone." He methodically checked the window, then the hallway, and finally the lock, not with dramatic flair, but with the practiced efficiency of someone who had learned survival in environments where carelessness proved fatal. "Did Naomi inform you about the cashier?" Maya inquired. Marcus nodded. "That leaves the rideshare driver and the individual from behind the laundromat, according to Lorraine." The driver altered her statement. "People tend to change their accounts when fear becomes a more costly commodity than truth." Maya looked at him. "Can we locate her?" "Potentially. However, for the present, you must cease operating independently. Avoid the courthouse, the campus, the grocery store, and late-night excursions for fresh air." "I am not helpless." "I never suggested you were," Marcus responded. "I stated that they aim to isolate you." Before Maya could reply, another knock sounded at the door. 3 sharp raps. Marcus raised a hand, signaling her to retreat. "Who is it?" Silence followed. Another knock. Maya's stomach tightened. Marcus positioned himself beside the door. "Identify yourself." A piece of paper was slid beneath the door. Footsteps receded. Marcus waited 10 seconds before retrieving it. His expression hardened as he read its contents. "What is it?" Maya asked. He handed it to her. The paper displayed a printed photograph of Maya's mother entering her own residence. Across the bottom, typed text read, "Mothers should teach daughters when to cease speaking." Maya's hand trembled so violently that the paper rattled. Marcus gently took it from her, preventing her from crushing it. "They are attempting to provoke a reaction. They are threatening my mother." "Precisely. And if you rush over there in a rage, they will have footage of you confronting officers or engaging with whomever they dispatch next." Maya turned away, inhaling deeply to suppress her fury. "I despise this." "You should." "I resent their precise knowledge of where to apply pressure." Marcus's voice softened. "That is the modus operandi of cowards when they wield power. They do not confront your strength, they meticulously study your affections." That afternoon, Naomi located the rideshare driver. Her name was Paula Jennings, aged 58. She was a grandmother from Decatur who had previously worked nights to manage medical expenses incurred by her husband's stroke. They arranged to meet in the parking lot behind an old diner off Memorial Drive. However, Upon Maya, Naomi, and Marcus's arrival, Paula appeared visibly apprehensive, constantly glancing over her shoulder. "I shouldn't be here," Paula stated before any introductions were made. Maya maintained a careful distance. "Ms. Jennings, I'm not requesting you undertake anything perilous." Paula's weary eyes shifted to Maya's bruised neck. "That's precisely what they assured me last time." "Kindly recount what you observed, ma'am." "Just sign here, ma'am." Then 2 officers visited my place of worship, inquiring if my grandchild still resided with me. Naomi discreetly lowered her recording device. "They threatened your family." Paula directed her gaze towards the road. "I witnessed Darnell on the ground. I observed that officer's arm around his neck. Darnell was handcuffed. I stated that during my initial account." Maya's breath hitched. "Was the officer Travis Cole?" Paula's eyes welled with tears. "I no longer recall names." Marcus interjected gently. "Ma'am?" Paula shook her head. "No. I have one daughter striving to retain her nursing credentials and a grandson applying for college admission. I apologize. Truly, I do." She hastily retreated to her car before Maya could respond. Naomi uttered an expletive under her breath. Maya watched Paula's vehicle depart, the weight of the encounter settling upon her. Witnesses were not inherently timid. They were individuals with dependents, financial obligations, medical needs, employment, and a visceral memory of the repercussions when powerful men felt publicly embarrassed. As they drove back, a light rain began to patter against Naomi's windshield. Maya's phone buzzed again, this time from an unlisted number. The message contained an image, her childhood home. The small white porch, adorned with Denise's 2 pots of vibrant red geraniums. The front window where Maya used to wait for her mother after school. The photograph had been taken from across the street. Below it were 3 stark words. "Stop digging now." Maya did not cry. The fear had transcended tears, morphing into something far more chilling. Naomi pulled the car to the curb. "Maya?" Maya looked at the photograph, then at her own reflection in the rain-streaked window. For a fleeting moment, she saw Darnell Price's autopsy report, Lorraine clutching his photograph, Paula Jennings suppressing the truth to safeguard her grandson, and her mother's house framed as a target. "They don't merely bury evidence," Maya stated softly. "They bury people while they are still breathing." Marcus turned from the passenger seat. "What is your intention?" Maya locked her phone and placed it face down on her lap. "We cease pursuing fearful witnesses," she declared. "We transform those protecting Travis into our witnesses." Naomi looked at her through the rearview mirror. "How?" Maya touched the bruise concealed by her scarf, no longer as dark but undeniably present. "We allow them to believe I am alone," she said. "Then we document their actions when they arrive to finalize their deception." By the time Naomi pulled away from the curb, the rain had intensified, transforming Atlanta's streets into shimmering silver ribbons under the headlights. Maya sat in the back seat, her phone face down, yet the image on the screen remained imprinted on her consciousness, as if searing through the protective casing. Her mother's porch, the scarlet geraniums, the window where she had once waited after school. They had not just menaced Denise Williams. They had encroached upon Maya's childhood sanctuary and positioned a camera where safety once resided. Naomi gripped the steering wheel firmly. "You comprehend the gravity of your statement, correct?" Maya looked up. "Yes, you stated we allow them to approach you." "I said we record them when they do." Marcus turned slightly from the passenger seat. "There's a distinction between allure and exposure. We are not placing you in a precarious situation with the hope that criminals will become talkative." "I'm not seeking heroism," Maya stated. "No," Marcus replied. "You are striving for utility. That can be equally perilous." The rain beat more forcefully against the windshield. For a period, silence enveloped them. Maya observed the passing cityscape, illuminated storefronts, quiet churches, and late-night buses glowing in the wet darkness. Somewhere out there, Travis Cole was likely sharing a laugh with men who had already deemed her the problem. Somewhere, Sergeant Harper was diligently transforming violence into bureaucratic paperwork. And somewhere, in a modest dwelling on the city's west side, Lorraine Price continued to reside with an unfilled chair at her table. Naomi finally spoke. The hearing is tomorrow morning. If they intend to perpetuate their falsehood, it will occur there. Marcus nodded. Public enough to appear legitimate, yet private enough to control the proceedings. They will question my character, Maya predicted, my temperament, my political leanings. They will present the edited video. They will likely claim the complete footage is unverified. Naomi added, and if Harper is aware that Marcus possesses a copy, they will target him as well. Marcus emitted a dry chuckle. That has already commenced. I have been placed under administrative review. Maya leaned forward. What? Unauthorized access to secured courthouse materials. But they instructed you to discard evidence. And I refused. That renders me an obstacle. Naomi glanced at him. You should have informed us. I have now. Maya looked at the back of his head, a tangle of anger and guilt constricting her. You stand to lose everything. Marcus turned sufficiently for her to observe his profile. Ms. Williams, I wore a uniform long enough to discern the difference between loyalty and obedience. Do not conflate the two. They proceeded to Naomi's apartment instead of Maya's, deeming it a safer, or at least less conspicuous, option. Naomi resided above an old print shop owned by a Korean couple who diligently swept their sidewalk each morning and maintained a discreet silence after dark. Inside, the apartment exuded the mingled scents of coffee, paper, and takeout. News clippings cascaded down one wall. 3 laptops lay open on the kitchen table, resembling a makeshift newsroom preparing for an impending battle. Naomi dropped her bag onto a chair. We require redundancy. If one device is confiscated, the footage will still be disseminated. If Marcus is discredited, Lorraine will speak. If Maya becomes the target, we will release everything in a staged sequence. Maya sank into a chair, her knee protesting sharply from the day's exertion. What about Paula Jennings? She's fearful. We will not disclose her identity unless she voluntarily steps forward. Then who will corroborate Darnell's being handcuffed? Lorraine's photographs, the bruising on his wrists, the autopsy report, the initial formal complaints, Harper's own statement. It may not be conclusive, but it is sufficient to resurrect the buried question. Marcus leaned against the counter. And tomorrow, do not engage them as if you are seeking their approval. They are not your audience. Maya looked at him. Then who is? The observers who still recognize right from wrong, but require the fortitude to articulate it. Naomi established 2 live streaming channels under pseudonymous accounts. She dispatched scheduled file transfers to 3 independent journalists, a civil rights attorney based in Birmingham, and a retired judge who had previously mentored Maya during a summer enrichment program. Each transmission contained the courthouse footage, the hallway recording, Darnell Price's documentation, and a signed affidavit from Lorraine. Maya contacted her mother shortly after midnight. Denise answered on the first ring. I'm awake. I anticipated as much. Don't start with me. Maya managed a faint smile, despite the persistent ache in her throat. Are you secure? I'm at your Aunt Patricia's. She has 3 sons, 2 dogs, and a shotgun. She insists it's for deterring raccoons. Mother, I'm not jesting. Maya closed her eyes. I apologize for them involving you in this. Denise's voice softened. Darling, I was entangled in this long before your birth. You've simply reached an age where you can perceive the entire room. Maya fought back the sting of tears. I'm frightened. Good. Fear signifies you comprehend the stakes. Just ensure it doesn't become your guiding principle. Following the call, Maya sat alone by Naomi's window, observing the rain tracing rivulets down the glass. The courthouse footage remained paused on the laptop behind her, her own body depicted trapped in Travis's grip, her mouth open around words that no one had wished to hear. I can't breathe. She touched the bruise beneath her scarf. It was beginning to fade at the edges, transforming from a deep purple to a sickly yellow. Soon, it would appear less severe to casual observers. Inevitably, someone would suggest it was not as significant as she had claimed. Yet Darnell Price's contusion had also faded. Concealed beneath mortuary cosmetics, official jargon, and 3 years of enforced silence. Maya whispered into the darkness. The law was meant to safeguard life, not extinguish it. Naomi heard her from the kitchen but did not intrude. At 6:30 the following morning, Maya dressed meticulously in a black blazer, a white blouse, and sensible flats. She tied the scarf loosely, not to conceal the bruise, but to draw attention to it. Naomi discreetly placed a small microphone within the lapel's seam. Marcus verified the backup recording device in Maya's bag. Lorraine arrived just before they departed, clad in a navy church dress and clutching Darnell's photograph with both hands. "Are you prepared?" Lorraine inquired. Maya gazed at the photograph, then towards the door. "No," she replied with candid honesty, "but I am going." Outside, the rain had subsided. The city appeared freshly washed, though Maya understood the deceptive nature of appearances. They drove towards the law school's administrative building in contemplative silence, each bearing a distinct facet of the truth. Upon reaching the entrance, Maya paused at the glass doors. Inside, administrators awaited, accompanied by polished tables, carefully chosen language, and files meticulously compiled to diminish her significance. Behind her stood Naomi, Marcus, and Lorraine. Within her bag lay the videos they had attempted to erase. Encircling her throat was the bruise they sought to rationalize. Maya drew a slow, deliberate breath, pushed open the door, and entered. The room was surprisingly colder than Maya had anticipated. This was the initial sensation that registered upon stepping inside, preceding the observation of the long, polished table, the framed portraits of former deans adorning the walls, or even the three administrators seated beneath the harsh fluorescent lights, their folders already open before them. It was a profound chill, the kind that rendered every breath a calculated measure, every chair a deliberate placement, and every silence a carefully rehearsed performance. Dean Patricia Caldwell occupied the central position, her silver hair impeccably styled, her demeanor elegant, and her expression meticulously unreadable. To her right sat Professor Martin Ellis of the Ethics Committee, a man who had once lauded Maya's analytical skills in moot court before an entire lecture hall. He avoided her gaze now. To Caldwell's left was Rebecca Sloan, the university counsel, whose professional smile possessed an almost adversarial edge. "Maya Williams," Dean Caldwell stated, "we appreciate your appearance on such short notice." Maya remained standing. "Am I obligated to be present without legal counsel?" Sloane's pen hesitated mid-stroke. Dean Caldwell's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "This is an internal conduct review, not a criminal proceeding. Then I request it be noted that my participation is voluntary, and I object to the insufficient notice provided." Naomi, positioned behind Maya near the back wall, lowered her gaze just enough to reveal the faintest hint of a smile. Caldwell gestured towards a chair. "You may be seated." Maya sat down slowly. Her injured knee protested beneath the table, but she maintained a composed expression. To her left, Lorraine Price cradled Darnell's framed photograph in her lap. To her right, Marcus Reed stood by the wall, his hands clasped calmly before him, as still as stone. Naomi settled near an electrical port, her laptop unfurled, her phone face down yet diligently capturing the scene. Dean Caldwell's gaze drifted past Maya. "Ms. Carter, Mr. Reed, and Mrs. Price are not participants in this inquiry." Maya responded before any other could interject. "They are present as observers." Sloane looked up. "Observers of precisely what?" Maya met Sloane's eyes. "Of the aspects of truth your documentation likely omits." The room fell silent. Professor Ellis cleared his throat. "Ms. Williams, our presence here is due to a video that has surfaced online, seemingly depicting you employing physical force against Officer Travis Cole outside the Fulton County Courthouse." "It appears that way because it was edited to appear that way." Caldwell folded her hands. "We will address your explanation shortly. For now, we must confront the gravity of these accusations. Any physical aggression towards a law enforcement official casts a negative light on the institution and raises significant questions regarding your decision-making, your emotional regulation, and your suitability for continued involvement in the civil rights clinic." Maya absorbed every word, understanding their precise intent. Decision-making, emotional regulation. suitability. Seemingly innocuous terms masking profound implications. My emotional regulation is precisely why Officer Cole is currently able to walk, Maya stated. Sloane leaned forward. That sounds like a veiled threat. No, Maya replied. It is a statement of fact. The door creaked open just as Caldwell was about to respond. Officer Travis Cole entered, clad in his uniform. Maya's throat constricted before she could control it. His mere presence instantly altered the room's atmosphere. He sported a sling on his right arm, an appendage that had been conspicuously absent the previous day. A subtle bruise marred his cheekbone, almost too perfectly placed, too artificially fresh, as if meticulously applied. Following him was Sergeant Dean Harper, a broad-shouldered and imposing figure. His silver badge gleamed with a polish so intense it reflected the light. Lorraine's fingers tightened around Darnell's arm. Marcus stared directly at Harper, unblinking. Dean Caldwell rose. Officer Cole, Sergeant Harper, thank you for attending. Travis met Maya's gaze, offering a pained expression perfectly calibrated for an audience. I simply hope we can prevent another officer from enduring this. Naomi's fingers moved with silent precision across her laptop. Caldwell motioned for Travis to take a seat opposite Maya. Harper remained standing behind him, a silent sentinel of authority. Officer Cole, Caldwell began, please recount the events. Travis Seahill stated, I was assisting with courthouse security when Ms. Williams became vocally agitated. She was recording, obstructing an ongoing law enforcement operation, and exacerbating the distress of a woman within the crowd. That is an outright fabrication, Maya declared. Sloane spun around abruptly. Ms. Williams, Travis continued, as if the interruption caused him pain. When I attempted to de-escalate the situation, she struck me, seized my arm, and propelled me onto the steps. I believe she has martial arts training, which rendered the assault particularly perilous. Maya felt the collective gaze of the room fixated on her reaction. This was the deliberate snare. Any sign of agitation would be construed as confirmation. She kept her hands clasped. Caldwell turned her attention to Maya. Did you employ martial arts against Officer Cole? Yes, Maya affirmed. Sloane's eyebrows shot up. Maya elaborated. After he subjected me to a chokehold, deprived me of air, kicked my phone away, and reached for his restraints while falsely accusing me of assault. Travis emitted a low, derisive chuckle. That is preposterous, Harper finally interjected. His voice was deep, smooth, and deliberately modulated. Officer Cole adhered to standard containment protocols once Ms. Williams initiated hostile actions. Marcus's jaw tightened involuntarily. Maya turned towards Harper. Was that the same standard protocol employed on Darnell Price? The mention of the name struck the room with the sharp finality of shattered glass. Travis's composure flickered. Harper's remained impassive. Dean Caldwell's brow furrowed. Who is Darnell Price? Lorraine rose slowly before Maya could offer a response. She held a photograph pressed against her chest. My son. Caldwell appeared visibly uncomfortable. Mrs. Price, this inquiry pertains to Ms. Williams. Lorraine's voice quivered, yet it held firm. That officer inflicted the same type of bruise on my boy's neck 3 years ago. My son passed away before he could be booked. You documented it as resisting arrest. Harper stepped forward. This is inappropriate and inflammatory. Naomi glanced up from her laptop. It's officially recorded. Sloane interjected sharply. Ms. Carter, you are not recognized. Naomi offered a thin smile. That has never been an impediment to the truth. Dean Caldwell raised a hand. Enough. We will not allow this to devolve into a public spectacle. At that precise moment, Maya's phone buzzed from her bag, then Naomi's. Professor Ellis's phone then illuminated on the table. Another phone outside the room chimed, followed by another. Naomi's prearranged publication had gone live. The initial file had been released. Caldwell's attention shifted towards the hallway as a cacophony of voices rose from beyond the door. Students were congregating. Someone had evidently seen the courthouse footage. Someone had disseminated it. The narrative that had been carefully managed for 2 days was beginning to splinter, escaping the confines of polished surfaces. Harper checked his own phone. For the first time, his expression shifted. Travis turned towards him. "What is this?" Naomi stood. "That would be the portion of the video you neglected to suppress." Sloan rose abruptly. "Cease that transmission." "It's not confined to a single device," Naomi stated. "That's rather the point." Dean Caldwell's face turned ashen. "Ms. Williams, did you authorize this?" Maya surveyed the administrators, then Travis, then Lorraine, who remained standing, clutching the photograph of her deceased son. "I authorized the truth," she declared. Beyond the conference room, the clamor in the hallway intensified, swelling into something significant. Footsteps, voices, palpable disbelief. Through the glass partition adjacent to the door, Maya observed students clustered around their phones, witnessing the very instant Travis Cole's arm encircled her throat. For the first time since the courthouse steps, the genesis of the narrative was finally being observed. However, Harper leaned in towards Travis and whispered something. Travis's feigned injury vanished. His eyes hardened. Dean Caldwell's office phone rang sharply. She answered, listened for 3 seconds, and then fixed her gaze directly on Maya. Her tone shifted. "Miss Williams," she announced, "campus security is en route." "Campus security?" Naomi queried, her voice sharp enough to pierce the room's tension. "For what purpose?" Dean Caldwell kept the receiver pressed to her ear, but her eyes remained locked on Maya. "Because this inquiry has escalated into a security concern." Maya slowly rose from her seat. "No, Dean Caldwell. This became a security concern when an officer choked me on the courthouse steps, and your immediate response was to safeguard the university's reputation." Rebecca Sloan stepped forward. "Miss Williams, I strongly advise you to resume your seat." Maya's gaze drifted to the glass partition. A larger assembly of students had gathered in the hallway, their faces illuminated by the screens of their phones. Some absorbed the footage in hushed silence. Others shifted their attention from the glass panel, observing Travis Cole, then back to the video, as if their minds struggled to reconcile the uniformed officer with the arm that had been around Maya's throat. Naomi rotated her laptop to face the room. The courthouse video now occupied the entire screen. This time, no one could plausibly claim ignorance. There was Maya, standing beside the elderly woman in her grocery store attire. There was Travis, grasping Maya's wrist. There was the spillage of coffee. There was the forceful kick that sent Maya's phone skittering across the stone paving. Then came the pivotal moment that irrevocably altered the atmosphere within the conference room. Travis's forearm tightened around her throat while Maya's mouth gaped open, forming words that required no audio to convey their meaning. The room fell into a profound silence. Professor Ellis removed his spectacles. Dean Caldwell slowly lowered the phone. Travis pointed at the laptop. "That video has been altered." Naomi clicked on another file. "Excellent. Then let us review camera 5. A second perspective materialized, wider, starker, and far more compelling. It depicted Travis forcibly dragging Maya backward, her knee impacting the stone surface, her textbooks scattering down the courthouse steps. It showed him reaching for his handcuffs while his other arm remained clamped around her neck. Naomi's voice remained level. "Timestamped. Internal courthouse surveillance. Metadata intact. Secured across 4 separate locations." Harper moved towards the table. "You have no legal authority to possess that footage." Marcus stepped between Harper and Naomi. "And you had no legal authority to order its deletion." For the first time, Dean Caldwell regarded Marcus as if truly seeing him. "Mr. Reed, is that assertion accurate?" Marcus met her gaze directly. "Yes, ma'am. I was instructed to expunge courthouse backup recordings that documented Officer Cole initiating physical force against Ms. Williams." Harper's jaw clenched. "This individual is undergoing an internal review for unauthorized access." Marcus offered a single decisive nod. "Because I refused to destroy evidence." The noise from the hallway had intensified. Someone outside exclaimed, "Play it again!" Another voice, older and laced with anger, declared, "That officer lied." Travis abruptly stood, his chair scraping noisily against the floor. "This is a setup. She instigated this." Maya turned to face him. "I arrived with law books. You intervened. I spoke. You resisted. I breathed." That final word seemed to strike a deeper chord than she had anticipated. Lorraine Price emitted a soft sound beside her, a sound caught somewhere between a sob and a prayer. Naomi opened the subsequent file. The recording appeared, grainy and desaturated. Travis stood near a vending machine, rubbing his shoulder. Sergeant Harper was positioned close by. His voice, though low, was clear enough for everyone present to apprehend. "You allowed the cameras to capture too much," Harper stated on the recording. Travis's recorded voice responded with a curt expletive. Then Harper uttered the sentence that seemed to drain all oxygen from the room. "Relax. You survived one net case already. You'll survive this one too. Just stick to the report." Lorraine's hand flew to her mouth. Dean Caldwell stared at Harper, aghast. Professor Ellis whispered, "My God." Harper's features hardened into an unyielding mask. "That recording is taken out of context." Naomi offered a chilling smile. "Then kindly elucidate the context where one net case signifies anything other than Darnell Price." Travis's eyes darted towards Harper. The movement was swift, but everyone observed it. The panicked glance of a man realizing his carefully constructed narrative had just unraveled. Rebecca Sloan reached for her phone. "We must suspend this meeting immediately." "No," Lorraine stated. Her voice, though not loud, commanded the room's attention. She stood, holding Darnell's photograph with both hands. Her shoulders trembled, but her eyes remained fixed on Travis. "My son was 36 years old," she said. "He worked night shifts loading trucks so his little girl could have new shoes for school. He called me every evening at precisely 8:30. He did not call me the night Officer Cole placed his arm around his neck." Travis averted his gaze. Lorraine stepped closer to the table. "You reported that Darnell resisted. You stated he fought back. You wrote that he caused his own demise because deceased individuals cannot refute official statements." Harper intervened. "Mrs. Price, this is not the appropriate venue." Lorraine turned her piercing gaze upon him. "You have made every room the wrong room for 3 years." Silence ensued. Naomi displayed Darnell's file alongside Maya's footage. Autopsy findings, complaint correspondence, photographic evidence of bruising, Harper's sign-offs for dismissals. The recurring pattern no longer appeared coincidental. It resembled a path, and every path led back to the same badge. Outside the conference room, the students began streaming the live broadcast onto larger monitors in the hallway. The narrative was no longer confined within the university's meticulously constructed barriers. It was disseminating through mobile devices, group chats, alumni networks, local journalists, church congregations, and civil rights organizations that understood precisely how to act when buried evidence resurfaced. The door opened. 2 campus police officers entered, then halted upon observing the screen. One was young and visibly uncertain. The other, older with streaks of gray at his temples, stared at the image of Travis restraining Maya, utterly motionless. Dean Caldwell appeared to regain her composure. "Officers, this meeting has become disorderly." The senior campus officer's gaze shifted from the footage to Maya's bruised neck, then to Travis. "Who requested this intervention?" Rebecca Sloan lifted her chin. "The dean's office requested assistance." Naomi's phone rang. She checked the screen and answered on sticker before anyone could object. A woman's voice, firm and professional, emanated from the device. "This is Attorney Evelyn Brooks with the Southern Justice Coalition. I represent Maya Williams as of 9 minutes ago. I am observing the live stream and am advising everyone present that any attempt to detain my client subsequent to the presentation of this evidence will be construed as retaliation." Sloane's expression shifted dramatically. Naomi looked at Maya. "Told you I had backups?" In the hallway, a sudden cheer erupted, followed by another wave of voices. Someone had just publicly shared the Darnell Price documentation. Lorraine's knees weakened, and Maya reached out, steadying her by the elbow. Travis backed towards the door. I'm finished with this. Marcus moved to block his path. No, Officer Cole. You finally reached the segment of the story you cannot edit. The senior campus officer touched his radio. We require Atlanta PD Command and Internal Affairs to be notified, immediately. Harper snapped. You possess no jurisdiction over my officer. The older officer regarded him with a quiet disdain. Perhaps not, but I recognize evidence when I see it. Maya stood at the center of the room, her throat bruised, her knee aching, her heart pounding. Through the glass panel, she could discern students watching her, no longer with suspicion, but with a dawning comprehension. For 2 days, the world had only seen the conclusion. Now it had witnessed the hand that had gripped her throat, the report that had preceded it, and the deceased man buried beneath it all. Travis cast one final look at Maya, and for the first time since the courthouse steps, there was no trace of a smile on his face. Travis Cole had spent years standing in rooms where his badge compelled individuals to avert their gaze. Now, within the confines of the law school conference room, he surveyed the scene and found no lowered eyes remaining. The students in the hallway continued to observe through the glass. Some held their phones aloft, others stood transfixed. Their faces bore the imprint of the profound weight of what they had just witnessed. The live stream had transformed the university's private review into an event that no one within that building could discreetly conclude. Every meticulously crafted sentence, every falsehood, every concealed document had been exposed to public scrutiny. Sergeant Harper moved first. This meeting is concluded, he declared sharply. Officer Cole, we are departing. The senior campus officer positioned himself in front of the doorway. His nameplate read Daniels. He appeared to be in his late 50s with weary eyes and the steady bearing of a man who had witnessed powerful individuals employ panic protocols far too frequently. Not yet, Daniels stated. Harper glared at him. Move. The single word landed with more impact than a shout. Travis's face flushed crimson. You cannot detain me. Daniel's gaze remained fixed on the screen, where the footage of Travis restraining Maya was paused. I am not detaining you. I am ensuring you do not depart before Internal Affairs arrives. Harper pointed a finger at him. You are interfering with an active police investigation. Marcus Reed stepped forward, his demeanor calm, his shoulders broad. No, Sergeant. You instigated a police matter when you ordered evidence destroyed. Harper turned on him, his voice sharp. You would be well advised to carefully consider your statements. I have, Marcus replied, for 3 years longer than I should have. That quiet admission shifted the room's dynamic. Maya looked at Marcus and, for the first time, understood that he had not only seen yesterday's footage, but had also carried the burden of Darnell Price's death within him. Silently, one compromised hallway at a time. Lorraine Price took a step towards Marcus. You knew? Marcus lowered his eyes. Not everything, ma'am, but enough to realize something was amiss. Enough that I should have spoken out sooner. Lorraine's face trembled, but her voice remained resolute. Then speak now. Marcus looked towards Naomi. She offered a slight nod and directed the microphone clipped to his lapel towards him. Marcus addressed the room. After Darnell Price passed away, I overheard inquiries from security staff regarding missing surveillance footage near the holding entrance. We were informed that the equipment had malfunctioned. Later, I observed Sergeant Harper remove a file request from the system and designate it as a duplicate error. At the time, I lacked definitive proof. I rationalized that suspicion was not the same as evidence. His gaze shifted to Maya's bruised throat. Then I witnessed Officer Cole inflict the same restraint upon Maya Williams. The identical arm positioning, the same pressure, the identical report language being drafted before anyone had even inquired about her account of events. This time, I preserved the evidence. Lorraine covered her mouth with one hand. Maya reached for her elbow again, but Lorraine did not falter. She stood firm, Darnell's photograph clutched tightly against her chest. Finally, hearing an admission from within the institution that the walls had lied, Dean Caldwell slowly sank into her chair, as if her body had lost the capacity to sustain its authoritative posture. Rebecca Sloan whispered into her phone, her legal composure noticeably frayed. Professor Ellison stared at the table, a look of shame and silence etched on his face. Outside, the assembled crowd in the hallway began a soft chant, gradually growing louder. "Release the files! Release the files!" The words echoed down the corridor. "Release the files!" Naomi's laptop displayed live stream viewer numbers climbing at an astonishing rate. Local journalists were posting comments. Civil rights attorneys were resharing the content. Alumni were tagging the university. Religious leaders were demanding accountability. The phrase, "one neck case," was already appearing across numerous screens, linked to Travis Cole's name, Darnell Price's photograph, and Maya's contused throat. Travis turned to Harper. "Do something." Harper's expression contorted. "Be quiet." It was too late for that. Everyone had heard him. The door opened once more, this time with purpose, but not in disarray. Two Atlanta Police Internal Affairs investigators entered, accompanied by a city attorney and a plainclothes detective. Behind them, a uniformed officer from a different precinct waited in the hall. The lead investigator, a black woman in her 40s with closely cropped hair and a navy suit, scanned the room and grasped the situation more comprehensively in 5 seconds than the university had in the preceding 2 days. "I am Lieutenant Angela Morris," she announced. "No one will be departing until we ascertain who is a witness and who is subject to investigation." Harper stepped forward. "Lieutenant, this situation is being sensationalized by activists and unauthorized recordings." Morris's gaze shifted from the paused footage to Maya's neck. "I will determine what is being sensationalized." For the first time, Harper was rendered speechless. Naomi, without prompting, sent another file to the shared display. "Lieutenant, this folder contains the original courthouse footage, the hallway recording, metadata, excerpts from Darnell Price's autopsy, Lorraine Price's complaint letters, and dismissal records signed by Sergeant Harper." Sloan objected weakly. "This evidence may have been obtained improperly." Attorney Evelyn Brooks's voice returned through Naomi's phone, still on speaker. "And yet, the destruction of evidence pertaining to assault and potential civil rights violations does not become lawful simply because the truth has caused embarrassment to those who concealed it." Lieutenant Morris glanced towards the phone. "Counsel, I will require your contact information." "You already have it in your inbox," Evelyn responded, adding, "along with a preservation demand sent to the university, the courthouse, and the police department." Naomi offered a brief, pleased smile before returning to her task. Morris turned her attention to Travis. "Officer Cole, please remove your duty weapon and place it on the table." Travis visibly paled. "What?" "Now." Harper stepped forward. "That is unnecessary." Morris's voice remained steady. "Sergeant Harper, if you interfere further, I will consider it obstruction." A silence descended, so profound that Maya could faintly hear someone weeping softly in the hallway. Travis slowly removed his weapon and placed it on the table. The metallic clink against the wood seemed to signify a fundamental shift within the room. The badge had not vanished, but it no longer held sway above the concept of accountability. Morris looked directly at him. "Officer Travis Cole, pending investigation into allegations of assault, falsification of official reports, evidence tampering, and connection to the Darnell Price matter, you are hereby relieved of duty, effective immediately." Travis stared at her, utterly stunned. "You cannot do this," he whispered. Lorraine responded before anyone else could. "My son was 36 years old," she stated. "He worked night shifts loading trucks so his little girl could have new shoes for school. He called me every evening at precisely 8:30. He did not call me the night Officer Cole placed his arm around his neck." Travis averted his gaze. Lorraine stepped closer to the table. "You reported that Darnell resisted. You stated he fought back. You wrote that he caused his own demise because deceased individuals cannot refute official statements." Harper intervened. "Mrs. Price, this is not the appropriate venue." Lorraine turned her piercing gaze upon him. "You have made every room the wrong room for 3 years." Silence ensued. Naomi displayed Darnell's file alongside Maya's footage. Autopsy findings, complaint correspondence, photographic evidence of bruising, Harper's sign-offs for dismissals. The recurring pattern no longer appeared coincidental. It resembled a path, and every path led back to the same badge. Outside the conference room, the students began streaming the live broadcast onto larger monitors in the hallway. The narrative was no longer confined within the university's meticulously constructed barriers. It was disseminating through mobile devices, group chats, alumni networks, local journalists, church congregations, and civil rights organizations that understood precisely how to act when buried evidence resurfaced. The door opened. 2 campus police officers entered, then halted upon observing the screen. One was young and visibly uncertain. The other, older with streaks of gray at his temples, stared at the image of Travis restraining Maya, utterly motionless. Dean Caldwell appeared to regain her composure. "Officers, this meeting has become disorderly." The senior campus officer's gaze shifted from the footage to Maya's bruised neck, then to Travis. "Who requested this intervention?" Rebecca Sloan lifted her chin. "The dean's office requested assistance." Naomi's phone rang. She checked the screen and answered on speaker before anyone could object. A woman's voice, firm and professional, emanated from the device. "This is Attorney Evelyn Brooks with the Southern Justice Coalition. I represent Maya Williams as of 9 minutes ago. I am observing the live stream and am advising everyone present that any attempt to detain my client subsequent to the presentation of this evidence will be construed as retaliation." Sloane's expression shifted dramatically. Naomi looked at Maya. "Told you I had backups?" In the hallway, a sudden cheer erupted, followed by another wave of voices. Someone had just publicly shared the Darnell Price documentation. Lorraine's knees weakened, and Maya reached out, steadying her by the elbow.
Travis backed towards the door. "I'm finished with this." Marcus moved to block his path. "No, Officer Cole. You've finally reached the segment of the story you cannot edit." The senior campus officer touched his radio. "We require Atlanta PD Command and Internal Affairs to be notified immediately." Harper snapped. "You possess no jurisdiction over my officer." The older officer regarded him with a quiet disdain. "Perhaps not, but I recognize evidence when I see it." Maya stood at the center of the room, her throat bruised, her knee aching, her heart pounding. Through the glass panel, she could discern students watching her, no longer with suspicion, but with a dawning comprehension. For 2 days, the world had only seen the conclusion. Now, it had witnessed the hand that had gripped her throat, the report that had preceded it, and the deceased man buried beneath it all. Travis cast one final look at Maya, and for the first time since the courthouse steps, there was no trace of a smile on his face. Travis Cole had spent years standing in rooms where his badge compelled individuals to avert their gaze. Now, within the confines of the law school conference room, he surveyed the scene and found no lowered eyes remaining. The students in the hallway continued to observe through the glass. Some held their phones aloft, others stood transfixed. Their faces bore the imprint of the profound weight of what they had just witnessed. The live stream had transformed the university's private review into an event that no one within that building could discreetly conclude. Every meticulously crafted sentence, every falsehood, every concealed document had been exposed to public scrutiny. Sergeant Harper moved first. "This meeting is concluded," he declared sharply. "Officer Cole, we are departing." The senior campus officer positioned himself in front of the doorway. His nameplate read Daniels. He appeared to be in his late 50s, with weary eyes and the steady bearing of a man who had witnessed powerful individuals employ panic protocols far too frequently. "Not yet," Daniels stated. Harper glared at him. "Move." The single word landed with more impact than a shout. Travis's face flushed crimson. "You cannot detain me." Daniel's gaze remained fixed on the screen, where the footage of Travis restraining Maya was paused. "I am not detaining you. I am ensuring you do not depart before Internal Affairs arrives." Harper pointed a finger at him. "You are interfering with an active police investigation." Marcus Reed stepped forward, his demeanor calm, his shoulders broad. "No, Sergeant. You instigated a police matter when you ordered evidence destroyed." Harper turned on him, his voice sharp. You would be well advised to carefully consider your statements.
I have, Marcus replied, for 3 years longer than I should have. That quiet admission shifted the room's dynamic. Maya looked at Marcus and, for the first time, understood that he had not only seen yesterday's footage, but had also carried the burden of Darnell Price's death within him. Silently, one compromised hallway at a time. Lorraine Price took a step towards Marcus.
You knew?
Marcus lowered his eyes. Not everything, ma'am, but enough to realize something was amiss, enough that I should have spoken out sooner. Lorraine's face trembled, but her voice remained resolute.
Then speak now.
Marcus looked towards Naomi. She offered a slight nod and directed the microphone clipped to his lapel towards him. Marcus addressed the room. After Darnell Price passed away, I overheard inquiries from security staff regarding missing surveillance footage near the holding entrance. We were informed that the equipment had malfunctioned. Later, I observed Sergeant Harper remove a file request from the system and designate it as a duplicate error. At the time, I lacked definitive proof. I rationalized that suspicion was not the same as evidence. His gaze shifted to Maya's bruised throat. Then, I witnessed Officer Cole inflict the same restraint upon Maya Williams. The identical arm positioning, the same pressure, the identical report language being drafted before anyone had even inquired about her account of events. This time, I preserved the evidence. Lorraine covered her mouth with one hand. Maya reached for her elbow again, but Lorraine did not falter. She stood firm, Darnell's photograph clutched tightly against her chest. Finally hearing an admission from within the institution that the walls had lied, Dean Caldwell slowly sank into her chair, as if her body had lost the capacity to sustain its authoritative posture. Rebecca Sloan whispered into her phone, her legal composure noticeably frayed. Professor Ellison stared at the table, a look of shame and silence etched on his face. Outside, the assembled crowd in the hallway began a soft chant, gradually growing louder. "Release the files. Release the files." The words echoed down the corridor. "Release the files." Naomi's laptop displayed live stream viewer numbers climbing at an astonishing rate. Local journalists were posting comments. Civil rights attorneys were resharing the content. Alumni were tagging the university. Religious leaders were demanding accountability. The phrase, "one neck case," was already appearing across numerous screens, linked to Travis Cole's name, Darnell Price's photograph, and Maya's contused throat. Travis turned to Harper. "Do something." Harper's expression contorted. "Be quiet." It was too late for that. Everyone had heard him. The door opened once more, this time with purpose, but not in disarray. 2 Atlanta Police Internal Affairs investigators entered, accompanied by a city attorney and a plainclothes detective. Behind them, a uniformed officer from a different precinct waited in the hall. The lead investigator, a black woman in her 40s with closely cropped hair and a navy suit, scanned the room and grasped the situation more comprehensively in 5 seconds than the university had in the preceding 2 days. "I am Lieutenant Angela Morris," she announced. "No one will be departing until we ascertain who is a witness and who is subject to investigation." Harper stepped forward. "Lieutenant, this situation is being sensationalized by activists and unauthorized recordings." Morris's gaze shifted from the paused footage to Maya's neck. "I will determine what is being sensationalized." For the first time, Harper was rendered speechless. Naomi, without prompting, sent another file to the shared display. "Lieutenant, this folder contains the original courthouse footage, the hallway recording, metadata, excerpts from Darnell Price's autopsy, Lorraine Price's complaint letters, and dismissal records signed by Sergeant Harper." Sloan objected weakly. "This evidence may have been obtained improperly." Attorney Evelyn Brooks's voice returned through Naomi's phone, still on speaker. "And yet, the destruction of evidence pertaining to assault and potential civil rights violations does not become lawful simply because the truth has caused embarrassment to those who concealed it." Lieutenant Morris glanced towards the phone. "Counsel, I will require your contact information." "You already have it in your inbox," Evelyn responded, adding, "along with a preservation demand sent to the university, the courthouse, and the police department." Naomi offered a brief, pleased smile before returning to her task. Morris turned her attention to Travis. "Officer Cole, please remove your duty weapon and place it on the table." Travis visibly paled. "What?" "Now." Harper stepped forward. "That is unnecessary." Morris's voice remained steady. "Sergeant Harper, if you interfere further, I will consider it obstruction." A silence descended, so profound that Maya could faintly hear someone weeping softly in the hallway. Travis slowly removed his weapon and placed it on the table. The metallic clink against the wood seemed to signify a fundamental shift within the room. The badge had not vanished, but it no longer held sway above the concept of accountability. Morris looked directly at him. "Officer Travis Cole, pending investigation into allegations of assault, falsification of official reports, evidence tampering, and connection to the Darnell Price matter, you are hereby relieved of duty, effective immediately." Travis stared at her, utterly stunned. "You cannot do this," he whispered. "That is precisely what they informed me when I inquired about my son's case file." Two officers stepped forward. Travis offered no resistance. Individuals of his sort often confused aggression with bravery, but the reality of the situation always revealed the distinction. He relinquished his badge without protest. The resolute certainty that had guided him through every incident report, every missing surveillance recording, every heartbroken parent, vanished from his countenance. Then, Morris turned his attention to Harper. "Sergeant Dean Harper, you too are suspended pending a thorough inquiry." Harper's lips compressed. "On what grounds?" Morris consulted the monitor. "On the grounds that you were foolish enough to voice your unspoken thoughts within earshot of a recording device." Beyond the confines of the room, the corridor erupted. It wasn't precisely a celebration, but rather a release of pent-up emotion. Students wept. Someone offered a prayer. Another voice shouted the name, Darnell Price. And soon, more voices joined in, the name resonating down the hallway like a bell that had finally been struck. Darnell Price. Darnell Price. Darnell Price. Lorraine's legs faltered then. Maya supported her on one side, while Marcus steadied her on the other. The photograph of Darnell was held between them. "He had a name," Lorraine whispered. "All this time, he had a name." Maya's own eyes welled up. "Yes, ma'am." Lieutenant Morris approached them with a gentler demeanor now. "Mrs. Price, I am profoundly sorry. We will require your statement when you feel you are ready. And Ms. Williams, yours will be needed as well. However, not here, and certainly not in this manner." Dean Caldwell stood, her complexion pale and her demeanor visibly shaken. "The university pledges its complete cooperation." Maya looked directly at her. "You were prepared to dismiss me merely an hour ago." Caldwell offered no defense. Professor Ellis finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "Miss Williams, I am deeply ashamed." Maya had hoped for a sense of triumph, but all she experienced was profound exhaustion. Then, the words, "Be useful," hung in the air, a sentiment borrowed from Lorraine and amplified by the immense cost of the day's events. By late afternoon, the narrative had extended far beyond the confines of the university campus. News vans lined the street's edge. Crowds of students had gathered outside the administrative building. Older members from New Hope Baptist Church arrived, clad in their Sunday best, standing in solidarity with law students, cafeteria staff, janitorial workers, veterans, and numerous families who held aloft photographs of individuals whose cases had concluded with phrases such as resisted arrest and medical distress. Maya emerged from the building with Naomi, Marcus, and Lorraine. The air was heavy with the scent of pavement recently washed by rain, and the warmth of television cables radiating under portable lighting. Cameras swiveled towards her, but for the first time she did not perceive herself as prey. A reporter called out, "Miss Williams, how does it feel to have your name cleared?" Maya glanced at Lorraine before responding. "I do not feel cleared as long as Darnell Price remains relegated to a closed file." She continued, "This is not the conclusion. This is merely the first honest statement." The surrounding throng grew silent. Lorraine held up Darnell's photograph. "My son perished while gasping for air," she declared, her voice trembling but resolute. "Today, someone finally paid heed." Maya felt the lingering tenderness of the bruise beneath her scars, a fading sensation yet still present. Travis had intended it to be a symbol of fear. Instead, it had evolved into a passageway. Behind them, within the building, officers were escorting Travis Cole and Dean Harper through a discreet exit, away from the assembled crowd. Someone, nonetheless, began filming. This time, the recording commenced from the very beginning. By the following morning's dawn, Maya Williams had managed less than 2 hours of sleep, but the city around her had remained entirely awake. Her phone persistently illuminated on Naomi's kitchen table, no longer with threats, but with breaking news headlines, messages from classmates who had been conspicuously silent for days, and incoming calls from unfamiliar numbers. Some offered apologies, others requested interviews. A few inquired about her intentions to pursue legal action. A small number simply conveyed, "We believe you now." It was as if their belief was a concession they had finally decided to grant. Maya did not respond to the majority of these communications. She sat by Naomi's window, a mug of coffee cooling between her hands, observing the morning light descend upon Atlanta. The rain had ceased overnight, leaving the streets remarkably clear and bright under a pale blue sky. Somewhere below, a delivery truck reversed into the alley with 3 gentle beeps. A man walking his dog paused to read something on his phone, glanced up towards Naomi's building, and then resumed his stroll. The world had undergone a subtle shift, but not enough for Maya to place her trust in it. Naomi entered the room, dressed in sweatpants and wearing the same determined expression she had maintained for 2 consecutive days. "You're a trending topic in 4 states. Maya looked at her. "That sounds rather dreadful." "It usually is," Naomi replied, placing her laptop on the table. "But this time people are circulating the unedited footage, not the manipulated version. The opening moments, the chokehold, the recording from the hallway, Lorraine's testimony, all of it." Maya gently touched the scarf around her neck. The bruise beneath it had begun to fade at the edges, transforming from deep purple to a yellowish hue. It appeared less alarming now, which almost stirred a sense of indignation within her. Her body was already mirroring the desired effect the system had hoped the world would exhibit, softening the evidence. "Any updates on Travis?" she inquired. "He's been relieved of duty pending an investigation. Internal Affairs has confirmed a criminal review is underway. Harper, too. Darnell Price's case is officially being reopened." Maya closed her eyes. That final piece of information should have felt like a triumph. Instead, it felt like an opening door into a chamber filled with sorrow. Lorraine Price arrived an hour later, dressed in a navy dress and sensible walking shoes, clutching Darnell's photograph against her chest as if it were an integral part of her. Denise accompanied her, carrying a foil-covered dish of breakfast casserole because, as she explained to everyone, sustenance remains essential, even when the world feels like it's engulfed in flames. Marcus Reed arrived last, impeccably shaved, visibly exhausted, and carrying himself with the gravitas of a man who had set down one immense burden only to discover another waiting beneath. They gathered around Naomi's small table, equipped with paper plates, coffee, and a silence so profound it seemed to overwhelm the entire space. Denise observed Maya's throat, then turned to Lorraine. "How are you holding up, Mrs. Price?" Lorraine offered a weary smile. "I honestly don't know yet. Ask me again after they stop referring to my son's name as mere news and start acknowledging it as a human being." Marcus nodded in agreement. "That sentiment takes time to cultivate." Naomi opened her laptop. "The university president issued a statement at 6 o'clock this morning. They are reinstating Maya's clinic placement and scholarship status. Full cooperation with investigators, a commitment to profound regret, all the customary diplomatic gestures." Maya let out a small, bitter laugh. "Yesterday they were ready to expel me." Denise pointed a fork at her. "Insist on having every reinstatement put in writing." "Already requested," Naomi confirmed. Marcus glanced at Maya. "And you're still proceeding with your statement today?" Maya nodded. "Lieutenant Morris has scheduled it for 11 o'clock. Attorney Brooks will be present." Denise set down her fork. "Are you quite sure you're prepared?" "No," Maya responded truthfully. "But I am weary of being in rooms where others presume to explain what has transpired with me." No one offered any argument against that assertion. Later that morning, Maya returned to the steps of the courthouse. She hadn't initially planned to visit the location before her statement, but the allure of the sight proved more compelling than her apprehension. Naomi drove them. Denise occupied the passenger seat, while Marcus followed in his truck. Lorraine requested to accompany them, and no one dared deny her. The courthouse presented a different aspect in the daylight, now bathed in the glow of truth. The stone steps appeared pristine. No spilled coffee, no scattered legal documents, no phones skidding across the concrete. The barricades had been repositioned. Deputies stood near the entrance, their demeanor more subdued than before, their gazes carefully averted. Yet Maya perceived every detail of the location where events had unfolded. There was the precise spot where her knee had struck the stone. There was the pillar where her phone had landed. There was the step where Travis's body had impacted after her escape, and there was the vacant space where onlookers had stood, uncertain whether intervening to protect her was worth challenging a badge. A small gathering had already convened. Some were students, others were esteemed elders from New Hope Baptist Church. The two seasoned veterans were back at their cafe table, though the chessboard remained untouched. Mr. Jenkins stood as he saw Maya. "Morning, counselor," he said softly. Maya offered a faint smile. "Morning, Mr. Jenkins." He glanced at her neck, then at the cameras beginning to assemble across the street. "Did you take those pictures like I instructed?" "Yes, sir." "Good," he affirmed, nodding towards the courthouse. "Buildings tend to retain fewer memories than people do. That's precisely why individuals must speak out." Lorraine stepped beside Maya, holding Darnell's photograph. For a moment, both women faced the steps in profound silence, one who had survived the ordeal, and one whose son had not. "We carried him through a rear entrance," Lorraine stated quietly. "After he was already gone. I used to wonder if the building itself was aware. Today," Maya looked at her, "today it knows." Lorraine's eyes glistened, but she refrained from crying. She extended her hand and gently touched Maya's scarf with 2 fingers, a gesture as tender as a blessing. "He stole my boy's breath, but your voice brought him back." Maya was unable to speak for several seconds. Reporters began to call out questions from behind the barricade, but Naomi raised a hand. "Not yet." Attorney Evelyn Brooks arrived, clad in a dark suit, exuding an air of brisk composure and a presence that caused even the courthouse staff to stand a little straighter. She introduced herself to Denise, embraced Lorraine with her permission, and then turned her attention to Maya. "You owe nothing to the cameras," Evelyn said. "Your statement is what the official record requires. The rest is entirely your decision." Maya looked up the courthouse steps. 2 days prior, Travis Cole had attempted to force her to her knees right there. 2 days ago, he had declared that she was incapable of opposing him. In a sense, he had been correct. She had not fought him in the manner he understood fighting. She had endured him. Then, she had traced the bruise backward until it led to Darnell Price. Maya stepped forward, and the assembled crowd fell silent. She did not raise her voice. She did not perform anger for those who had arrived late to the truth. "My name is Maya Williams," she stated. 2 days ago, Officer Travis Cole placed his arm around my throat on these very steps. For a time, people only observed the segment where I managed to break free. They failed to see what necessitated my survival. The cameras clicked. She continued. "But this is not solely about me. 3 years ago, Darnell Price did not manage to break free. His mother was informed he resisted. His file was sealed. His name was buried beneath official terminology. Yesterday, that terminology began to crumble. Lorraine raised Darnell's photograph. Maya's voice trembled momentarily, then steadied. Justice is not inherently righteous simply because it arrives belatedly. Late justice must still account for the years it permitted a falsehood to persist. The crowd remained hushed. Even the reporters ceased their calls. Maya looked towards the courthouse doors. "I still believe in the law, but I no longer believe the law inherently protects itself. People protect it. Witnesses protect it. Mothers protect it. Communities protect it. And sometimes, a bruise becomes testimony when everyone else is instructed to remain silent." Denise discreetly wiped her eyes. Marcus averted his gaze. Naomi continued to record, but her hand trembled. Maya stepped back. Lorraine took her hand. Together they ascended the courthouse steps, not as victims returning to the scene of their trauma, but as witnesses entering the official record. Inside, Lieutenant Morris awaited. The statement room was prepared. The arduous work that lay ahead was apparent. But outside, on the steps where Maya had once struggled for air, the crowd began to utter Darnell Price's name once more. Not as a trending hashtag, not as a sensational headline, as a man. And as Maya crossed the threshold, she took a slow, deliberate breath, painful yet liberated, carrying him with her. The enduring lesson from Maya Williams's narrative is that truth, while it may be postponed, concealed, or distorted, is never truly powerless when courageous individuals resolutely refuse to allow it to perish. Maya imparts to us that genuine fortitude is not discovered through retribution or anger, but rather through discipline, bravery, and the unwavering refusal to succumb to the expectations of injustice. Her bruise transcended mere physical injury. It evolved into a powerful testament for every voice that the established system sought to suppress. This story serves as a potent reminder that justice does not safeguard itself. It requires the active participation of witnesses, mothers, friends, entire communities, and ordinary individuals who possess the courage to stand firm when authority commands them to look away. Thank you for accompanying this story to its conclusion. If it resonated deeply with you, I would be genuinely delighted to hear your reflections on the narrative's construction, its emotional cadence, or any aspect that left a lasting impression. Every comment you share contributes to the creation of future narratives that are more authentic, emotionally resonant, and profoundly meaningful. And should you possess a compelling or significant personal story, please do not hesitate to submit it to the channel. It may very well become the next narrative to touch and inspire countless others. This video is a work of pure fiction, conceived and developed with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and circumstances depicted are entirely imaginary and do not correspond to any actual individuals or documented occurrences. The content is solely intended for the purposes of storytelling and emotional illustration.
In the end, the true solace comes out.